There is a pattern in your life that you would like to break, one that you've cycled through over and over and over again. And while you have tried to break this pattern multiple times in the past, it still hangs around. In this reading, we are going to deepen into the inner dialogue, the emotional truths, and the unconscious dynamics that might be playing a part in this pattern to bring awareness so that you can start to make sustainable changes when it comes to this pattern. It's helpful to understand what is underneath that pattern, the reaction or the thought, to bring about this long-term change rather than just try to fix surface responses. This reading isn't here to tell you your future or be any kind of medical diagnosis. It is here to help you step forward with a little more self-trust and soulful alignment. Never give your power over to tarot, only use it as a catalyst for self-inquiry. You have 3 soul paths to choose from. Listen to one or all 3. Timestamps are in the description, along with the links to join my inner circle or come work with me one-on-one for deeper, more personalized support. For those who would like a close-up of the cards today, let me do that right now. For Soul Path 1, we have Security, the 4 of Pentacles. For Soul Path 2, we have Compliance with the 7 of Wands. And for Soul Path 3, we have Vitality with the Sun. When you feel ready, use your intuition to choose the pile you're feeling most drawn to. Click the timestamp for your reading, and I'll see you over there. For those who chose Security, 4 of Pentacles, this message is going to be for you. Your pattern could be rooted in a couple of things here. Could be rooted in family dynamics. There could be some money patterns or patterns that are fueled by insecurity. And this could have you avoid things that disrupt a routine, disrupt your sense of comfort, or challenge your sense of security. This could show up as scarcity, panic and anxiety when it comes to money, when it comes to finding stability. And this could feel really rigid in its execution, where you are fixated on how something needs to be, how something needs to feel, how something needs to look. And if it doesn't match that, then instability could follow, or panic could follow, or anxiety or worry could follow. It feels like you're chasing something. And I say that because I am looking at this negative space here, which looks like a bird flying away from something. Or maybe flying into something that feels brighter, more vital, more alive. We are going to pull some more tarot cards, and then I am going to unpack these with an extended today. We're going to do an extended, we're going to unpack each one of these, and then we're also going to get an oracle message for you as well. So if you're interested in that, I will put the link for the extended in the description box. So the belief or story or fear that might reinforce this is the Chariot, resolve or resolution. There's a fear of lacking momentum, of lacking movement, of not seeing progress, maybe of being fixed, rigid, stuck. And it almost feels that is part of the fear that is driving this pattern. There's a fear of standing still, a fear of not moving, and this subconscious drive to take action. Again, that seeking energy is coming through with this. And there's a belief about success here. What you are attaching success to. Maybe it is finances, how much money you make, how much stuff you have, how much you have to show for whatever efforts you are putting forth for something. And a belief or a storyline about you not being successful if you are not succeeding in the way that you think, or maybe even other people think is success. So question what you deem to be secure, what you deem to be success, because those two things may not be in harmony. You might have an idea of what success looks like and feels like, but are taking action based on what other people feel is successful, what it should look like. And there is a belief that if you don't match some kind of standard or expectation, you have failed. And you will not be secure, you will not be safe. So there's this movement towards some kind of goal that may or may not be yours, some kind of pressure. So one more. We'll look at bottom of the deck in a minute. Effort. With exhaustion underneath. So 10 of Wands. Now, I'm reading this in a really interesting way. I feel like you are suppressing your exhaustion. And you are continuing to show up with a lot of effort in spite of how tired you might feel. And this is a sort of an endpoint of this pattern, because you can't move forward in the same way that you've done in the past. It's exhaustive. It is burning you out. It is draining your vitality. And it is no longer sustainable. And I'm seeing a heart in this. And the heart is kind of breaking away from this figure. So your effort may be coming from a very valid or positive intention. But internally, it might feel a different way. And breaking this pattern may feel uncomfortable. It may feel like you're dropping the ball. It may feel like you are not succeeding because you've been so used to carrying this weight, this load, this heaviness, this effort to prove yourself or to prove to someone else that you are successful, chasing security, comfort, stability. And there's nothing wrong with that. But is this the right path towards that? And again, I think it goes back to you defining what success looks like, you defining what comfort, security, stability looks like. And that might be having a solid financial foundation, which is part of that security, that safety. But what else? Beyond that survival. And you might currently be in survival. So I'm going to be interested to see what comes out in the clarifiers, because it may have a little bit more detail, a little bit more guidance on how to find that security and comfort, how to find that stability that maybe go beyond this effort that you're putting in that may or may not be working for you. So bottom of the deck is what's possible when the pattern loosens. Justice. There's space here in the middle of this graphic. Space to breathe, balance, a sustainable outcome, a fair outcome, being kinder to yourself, having more of a balance between effort and that sense of stability and comfort. And how to meet this pattern is to be less judgmental and to see it from a place of neutrality, of diplomacy, of logic and intuition. Not simply something that you are reacting to from an emotional place, from a fearful place, from a familiar place, but really looking at this from an objective point of view, taking yourself out of this pattern for a moment, looking at it from an outsider's perspective, seeing it as it is without judgment, looking at the facts of how it's helping, how it's hindering, what's working, what's not. What is the effort and the reward? What are you suppressing or risking by staying in this pattern? And coming to some decision or coming to some kind of understanding, a deeper understanding, to find better balance moving forward. Because I think both can exist. You can have security and comfort while also not running yourself ragged. And what does that look like? What does that feel like? Is this about your personal value? You proving your value in some way as well. That's coming through. So I'm going to unpack this in the extended. If you're not into that, that's totally fine. Trust that you have received the messages that you need to receive today. And I will end this here, Soul Path 1. If you enjoyed this reading, I would appreciate a like to let me know if it resonated, and would love for you to at least subscribe to the channel so you can be part of the community here and to see more readings like this. Thank you again, and I'll see you in your next reading. For those who chose Compliance, 7 of Wands, this message is going to be for you. Your pattern has something to do with complying to the norm, the standards, the group, and not feeling confident to stand up, to share your ideas, to break away from the group think. This could be societal, this could be familial, this could be at work. So there's a strong fitting in energy that I'm getting with this, but with it being the 7 of Wands, being that point of trial, I feel like this pattern is encouraging you to break free and to rebel against something that you have been compliant with. And I'm getting that rebellious energy from the red that is being shown here at the top. It's very prominent. It is active. So there's this internal rebellion I feel is happening, and you really noticing this pattern of compliance, of, hey, this doesn't really feel good, or I would like to break free from this pattern, but I don't have the confidence. I'm not really sure what people will think, what people will feel, how people will react to that. Let's get some more information. And I am going to be doing an extended over on my Patreon. So if this is resonating and you'd like to go a little deeper, I will leave the link in the description, and we will unpack with a little more tarot as well as a final oracle message. So manifest is the Magician card. So what's interesting is I'm being brought to this manipulate energy that is kind of in the reverse or underneath. It's like you want to show up as confident. You want to show up as creative or self-sufficient. And you feel that possibly by not complying, you are either manipulating or you are betraying something, someone. There could also be a story or a belief here of, I don't have what it takes to do something on my own. I'm not creative enough. I don't have all of the tools or the resources to do something on my own. I don't have the creative ideas. Whatever it is very rooted in your ability, skills, talents, and what you have to bring an idea to life. So there's a lack of confidence, but also this idea of, if I do that, I'm being manipulative in some way, or I'm betraying somebody in some way. Maybe there's a fear of being manipulated, or maybe that's the tension point that you're currently in, of feeling manipulated and suppressing that. Third card, prepared and unprepared. We have the Two of Wands in its sideways position. And bottom of the deck we will take a look at in a sec. Yeah, there's this feeling of, I need to be 100% prepared to do this thing that I want to do, to walk away, to go it on my own. And maybe this energy or this environment or the situation that you're in is making you convinced that you have to be 100% healed, 100% prepared in some way to do it. And that you don't have a choice in this. You don't have what it takes. I'm going to say that's not true. Because I am feeling this rebellion coming from within. This desire and drive to break this pattern of breaking away from the herd, the crowd. There could be a fear of being seen as well. And being seen in a way that you haven't been seen before. Being seen as the one that walks away. Being seen as the one that's doing their own thing. That isn't complying to the norms, the standards, the way things should be. And I feel you've got some really big ideas. Inconsistency with the Knight of Pentacles. Now, when this pattern loosens, or when you meet this pattern differently, I feel like it will shift your direction. It will be completely inconsistent with the way you've done something in the past. That is the point. That is what happens when we break patterns. It's going to feel awkward. It's going to feel like we don't know what we're doing. But that is because the familiar pattern that we've been in is just that. It's familiar. It's what we know. And the brain likes it that way. But it may not be healthy. It may not be elevating us. It may not be helping us grow. It may be keeping us stuck and in place. But I feel a real shift in direction here once you decide to break this pattern. And it will feel a little awkward at first. Don't allow that to be a signal that it's wrong. Unless you deem something at some point to not be correct, and then make adjustments. But don't automatically return to that pattern, because there's a reason why you would like to break it in the first place. There's an underlying desire to create something new here. And you don't have to be 100% prepared to do it, or 100% healed. You just have to make decisions with what you currently have at your disposal, those resources, and what you feel most confident in doing right now. And maybe that's not a lot. How can you push yourself just a little bit further? I may not be where I want to be yet, but I have enough to do this, at least for now. This isn't about making sweeping changes. This is about finding your footing in this new pattern, or breaking away from this pattern of doing something a little bit differently over a period of time. I feel like this pattern is going to be a very slow unraveling. So again, it's not about flipping the table. This is about making conscious choices. And if you're unprepared, how can you be a little more prepared? And if you feel prepared enough, how can you start taking action and making choices in alignment with what you would like to do, where you would like to go? So that is today's reflection, my dear Soul Path 2. I'm going to take it over on to the extended. If that's not for you, trust that you've received the messages that you need to hear today. And in the extended, we will unpack all of these with a little more tarot and get a final oracle message to send you on your way. If you enjoyed this reading, though, I would appreciate a like to let me know that it resonated, and would love for you to subscribe to the channel so you can be part of the community here and see more readings like this. Thanks again, and I'll see you in your next reading. For those who chose Vitality, the Sun, this message is going to be for you. The pattern to notice for you has something to do with your optimism or the way that you show up. I'm hearing everything is fine, everything is good, but internally there's a deeper sadness or dissatisfaction. I don't want to say bypassing, but there's an overlooking of something that is hurtful, that is challenging, and you may be a very optimistic person. But it is a pattern that plays out in a way that possibly makes you feel like your feelings don't matter, or that you are supposed to always see the positive side of life. You're not allowed to feel sadness. Maybe you felt you couldn't share those sadder emotions, those angry emotions, the emotions that oppose that happiness, that joy, that optimism. And this could be a learned behavior. I feel it's really affecting how you see yourself, how you feel, your expression. And if you would like to go deeper into these, I'm going to do an extended over on my Patreon. We're going to unpack all of these cards with more tarot and get a final oracle message if that's something that you're interested in. I'll leave a link in the description. So we have reflection with the Hermit. There's a feeling of you being alone. You know, if you express anger, if you express fear, if you express sadness, that you will be abandoned, you will be isolated, you will have to process something on your own and reflect on your own. You might be a very introspective person, but don't share that aspect of yourself to a lot of people. You use that for a very select few. And I feel that there is a safety involved. And you have two major arcanas here. So I do think that this affects more areas of your life, not just your personal life, but how you show up in different social situations, how you show up in relationships, at work. Getting somebody that is very bubbly, that everybody wants to be friends with. And there's a fear that if you show a different side of you, that the love will be taken away. That's a tough one. If that's resonating, that's a tough one. Okay, one more. And we'll look at bottom of the deck in a minute. I think it was more like that. Chariot, 3 for 3, 4 major arcanas. This pattern could be convincing you that you won't be successful if you aren't happy, positive. There could be some manifestation, like if you think a positive thought or if you feel something that doesn't align with the optimism, the joy, the happiness, that you're going to attract more of that into your life. So it's like, I have to stay high vibration in order to succeed, in order to move myself forward, in order to accomplish something. But ultimately, I feel your pattern has valid intention. It wants you to be successful. It wants you to achieve. And that can be good or bad when you look at things. Because how is it showing up? What is it suppressing? What are you risking by staying in this pattern? What are you avoiding by staying in this pattern? And is this pattern showing you something that is truthful or something that is rooted back in your childhood of something that you were taught, conditioned to think or feel, something that you learned or observed? So I think this pattern is rooted to some kind of belief, which is rooted in some kind of fear or feeling that you don't want to have. Because in order to have wholeness in our life, we have to be able to feel the wholeness of life, to observe and to be witness to that wholeness, to integrate the shadow aspects of ourself, to understand those shadow aspects so that they don't subconsciously pull us off track, and to suppress something that could be very important to knowing. Fulfillment. I was going to say 9 of Cups, but 10 of Cups. When you meet this pattern with compassion and grace and understanding, and maybe holding more space for the more negative emotions, even just for yourself, of noticing them, of bringing them up to the surface, of saying, I see you and I understand you, you will have more fulfillment in your relationships. You will have deeper connections within your relationships, whether that is work, whether that is family, friends, lovers. Because you don't fear judgment, you don't fear abandonment. And if there are people that fall away when you start expressing frustration or talking about what upset you, how you're feeling that may not be 100% happy, if those people that love you are not going to support you through that, then you're going to know that they never would. Because life is going to life. And you want to make sure that you are in community with people that you can support, but also who will support you through the good and the bad. And some people may not be equipped to do that. And that's okay. So the fears that you have, first of all, may not be true. They may be rooted in a story from your past. It's important to look at that and to look at how it's moving you forward and in what ways it's moving you forward. Does it feel truthful? Does it feel aligned? Does it feel whole? And look at those fears of, what do I fear if I show up differently? What do I fear when I tell people that I'm upset or sad? How do I want to move forward? And what do I want to feel in my relationships? Whatever relationships those might be. Is it too exhaustive to show up happy and joyful and positive at all times? So that is the message that I have for you, my dear Soul Path 3. If you want to hop over onto the extended with me, you're welcome to join. The link is in the description. And if you enjoyed this reading, I would appreciate a like to let me know if it resonated, and would love for you to subscribe to the channel so you can be part of the community here and see more readings like this. Thanks again, and I'll see you in your next reading.